Hello dear friends, I am Professor M. Masoon Raza, Department of Library Information Science, AMU Aligarh. So in the previous lecture I just told you about the circulation work procedures. I told you about the circulation, its advantages, its purpose, and how the circulation is instrumental in the library. What all it is doing and what all activities are done in the circulation work that we have already uh, discussed in the previous lecture. So I'll just continue with the same. So this just to remind you that this is what we have discussed earlier. Then coming to the overdue charges. So the issue of overdue charges in the libraries sparks a debate. As I told you, whether it should be charged or it should not be charged. And those who see it as a necessary measure to ensure the timely return of the books, and those who view it as a punitive action. So the proponents of overdue charges, one is ensuring timely return. Overdue charges serves as a deterrent to patrons. Basically, the idea is to deter the patrons, users who might otherwise keep the library material for an extended period, ensuring that the items are returned promptly for others to access. The idea is simple, that nobody should delay it because you have been given certain time, you have been given, and the whole library has been, the collection has been built up using the public money. So definitely somebody is in the queue, and somebody should not suffer because you are lethargic, or you are lazy, or you were engaged, whatever the reason can be. So nobody should suffer just because of your engagements or just because of your laziness. Next consideration is fairness to other patrons. By imposing overdue charges, libraries maintain fairness among the patrons. And why it is important is you have to be fair in the eyes of the public, and preventing individuals from monopolizing resources. One cannot keep it for a long time. So it will be just a monopoly. So library has to keep a check that nobody's monopolizing the resource, and because this resource belongs to public, so everybody should be given equitable chance to make use of the resource. Uh, to harm the others, that should not, because if anyone is trying to monopolize means it will be harming the others. Third consideration is the monetary levy as a dissuading measure. Monetary levy as a dissuading measure. So monetary penalty acts as a dissuading measure, means encouraging patrons to adhere to the due dates and return materials on time. It helps instill a sense of responsibility for borrowed items. So that is just to favor the people, favor the clients, favor the members. So these rules are, or the policies are made in such a way that everybody gets an equal chance of using the resources or using the library. This is a primitive nature. Means critics argue that overdue charges are a dated practice and may not align with the modern library philosophies that emphasizes inclusivity, access, and user friendliness. So definitely there can be critics also, and same thing can be criticized also. Then in continuation with the same, there's a perception that it is punitive. Means some view overdue charges as a punitive measures that penalizes patrons for minor interaction. Penalizes patrons for minor infractions, potentially deterring individuals from using the library services. Another consideration is alternative solution. Alternative solution or alternative approaches such as restricting borrowing privileges for defaulters or implementing non-monetary sanctions may be more effective in encouraging timely returns without resorting to fines. Means if somebody is delaying it, somebody is not returning in time, you stop the charging procedure. You stop the loaning activity. Once you stop the loaning activity, that is just like a penalty. You don't collect any fine, don't charge any fine for some time to a particular client, until unless he or she feels that no, I've done a mistake, I'll not repeat it in future, then only the loaning process should be initiated. So these are the considerations especially. Then avoiding excess charges. If monetary fines are imposed, they should be reasonable and proportionate to the offence to avoid creating undue financial burden for the patrons. But normally a student, just suppose if we charge 1 rupee per day, so probably it will be difficult for a student to pay that much. If just suppose normally the students are in habit of keeping for a semester, they will get a document issued and they keep it for the whole semester. So if you calculate it 90 days, 90 days means just on an average, if you calculate by 1 rupee per day, so it comes to 90 rupees for one document. If 4 documents he or she is keeping it, it will be 90 to 4, 360 rupees. So probably it will be difficult for the student to pay 360 rupees when if somebody is coming from a very humble background. So probably the argument is very simple, either not to penalize, and simply you can restrict the user by not issuing any document further. Another argument is a realization method. Libraries may choose to issue a receipt for collected fines or utilize a conscience box. This is conscience box mechanism was used by Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. Idea was, if you feel that you have done something wrong, this should prick your conscience, and once it pricks your conscience, automatically whatever you feel, if you feel that okay, I should pay 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee, whatever, for it is means it is perception is your perception. If you feel that you have done some guilt, you have done some wrong thing, so you go and deposit as per your convenience. If you are capable of 1 rupee, you pay 1 rupee. If you are capable of 10 rupees, you pay 10 rupees. So nobody is going to ask you how much you have paid. So that mechanism was evolved by Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, and that is also one way to make you realize, because whenever you come to the come for returning the document, the conscience box is just kept near the circulation counter, and idea is you just see how much late you are, and accordingly you deposit something as per your convenience as a penalty. It is a self-imposed penalty. It is not that we are imposing you to deposit. Library is imposing you as per the policy. They are imposing you to deposit 100 rupees, 200 rupees. No, it is a self-imposed. You decide what should be the penalty, and accordingly you deposit in the conscience box and return the document. So that this is basically, if it pricks your conscience, you will not do it again. Idea is simply to make you aware that you have done something wrong, pricks your conscience. Next time you don't repeat this activity. So normally here also, where the patrons deposit overdue charges anonymously, means no name, no nothing, it will be all anonymous, and the choice depends on the factors such as cost effectiveness, staff resources, and administrative considerations. These all considerations are there. The consideration for implementing monetary versus non-monetary. Then coming to reservation. There's a fourth activity, that is reservation. The purpose of basically reservation, as you know, is meeting the high demand, and then resource constraints are there. Then we have temporary demand is there. So these three factors or these three purposes are important for the library to take up the reservation, because ultimately, as I told you, this facility is available in trains also, in planes also, maybe in buses also. Why anybody, whosoever wants to program the travel, if you have to program your travel, means what you do is, for your convenience, you book your tickets in advance, book your seats in advance. Same is the case here. You have limited resources, and maximum people want to have the libraries. They try to circulate among the users, and they have to devise such a strategy that nobody feels that I am being ignored, or any particular client is being given more preference, and maybe somebody is given the low priority. So priority is not a concern here. Only thing is, the library should evolve a mechanism so that it can circulate effectively, and everybody gets a chance, and the resources are utilized to their fullest or to their optimum. So I'll explain one by one. Just first one, we take up the first one, meeting high demands. So we have seen that with the increasing interest in the reading and research, certain books, especially textbooks or new or controversial titles, experience high demand among the library patrons. So when it is high in demand, you have to be very conscious and circulate it as per the convenience, as per the reservation. So when you know that a lot of people want to read it, so you ask them to reserve it. Whosoever will reserve first will be the first to get the document. Who will be the second in the queue will be the second person to read the document. Whosoever will be the third, he or she will be the third person to read the document. So this is how you can channelize things. Second most important is resource constraint. So library is also facing limitations in the funds and cannot always purchase a sufficient number of copies to meet the demand for popular titles without compromising on acquiring other essential materials. It is not possible that library can do away with other materials and just suppose if this particular title is in high demand, so we should buy 10 copies of it, because ultimately they have to balance it. They have to balance their budget, they have to balance their funding also. Whatever they are getting, they have to keep a check that they are able to get sufficient number of copies. And number two, they are trying to buy titles across the knowledge discipline. It is not that only probably one subject they are building their collection only in one subject and less of the subjects are being less preferred. That should not be the case. So they have to develop a equitable collection. We should have a good amount of literature also, good amount of books on different subjects also. So for that matter, the number of copies, whatever the copies they have, so they have to manage within those number of copies. So best way out is to reserve the document. You ask the user to reserve the document, and once the user will reserve the document, there is a high probability that maybe in the first instance or the second instance, the user will be able to get the document and he can read the document. He or she will be in a position to read the document. Third important purpose is temporary demand. The demand for certain books may be temporary, such as during exam season or periods of controversy, and after which the demand decreases significantly. Just suppose the moment exams are coming up, you have a lot of pressure. Most of the students will be demanding these titles, or maybe some titles of the books. And same is the case with the controversial books also. Whenever the controversy is there, then everybody wants to read the particular document. But slowly, gradually, what happens when the controversy dies off, or the exam, semester exam or the annual exam that is going to finish, everybody will return it, and that's a lean period. So when you have a lean period, there is no question. But when you have the high period or high demand is there, that time you have to prioritize things. You have to start the reservation process, ask every user to reserve the document, and then go ahead. And then accordingly, you have to channelize the issue and return. Then what are the key features of the reservation that you can see here is managing the demand, preventing hoarding, and third is optimizing resource allocation. So just now, as I told you, managing demand is a key feature of reservation. So this system basically allows patron to place holds on books that are currently checked out or unavailable, so that you can get from the system. If your library is automated, straight away you can go to the pack, check the availability of the document. If it is not available, you can immediately just fill up the reservation form and submit to the circulation counter. So this ensures that those who are interested in the specific titles can still access them when they become available. Whenever it will come back to the library, whosoever will be the first in the queue will be given the information, will be intimated that this document is available now in the library. You please come and get it issued. So this provision is there in the library. Second most important thing is preventing hoarding. So by allowing patrons to reserve books, libraries discourage the unsocial habit of some individuals who may try to monopolize popular books by keeping them continuously checked out in their names. So at least this hoarding should also be discouraged, because some patrons are in the habit of keeping all the books and then keep on hoarding it, and then rest of the patrons are not able to get the books. So at least that should be discouraged by the library. And third most important is optimizing resource allocation. So reservation helps libraries allocate their limited acquisition of additional copies. Optimizing resource allocation Reservation helps libraries allocate their limited resources more efficiently by prioritizing the acquisition of additional copies of highly demanded titles without overspending on books that may become idle after the peak demand period. So as I told you that we have a peak and lean period both when the examinations are coming or whenever the ongoing controversy is there, then maybe some of the titles will be on high demand or that is a peak demand period. And slowly, gradually it will die down. And whenever the exams are over or when the controversy is over, you have a lean period. So especially whenever the peak period is there, that time you have to manage things. You have to initiate some strategy of reserving it and then pacifying every user and then asking them to come turn by turn. So that will be able to solve the problem. So just in the next slide we'll discuss what are the benefits. You can see here the three important benefits are there. The fulfilling the legitimate demands, one. Second, enhancing the access that it is doing. And third, preventing the frustration. Uh, First, we'll take one by one. Fulfilling the legitimate demands means reservation basically ensures that legitimate demands for popular books are met while minimizing unnecessary wastage of funds on excessive copies. We don't require many copies. Sometimes we want limited copies, and with limited copies, if we have the process of circulation, proper strategy in circulation by reserving it or by renewing it, if we follow properly, we'll be able to manage things. Number two, enhancing access. So patrons have equitable access to popular materials, promoting inclusivity and fairness in library services. So that way, when you reserve the document, most of the people will be in a position to make use of it. So all of them, they can reserve it, and as per their timings, they will be informed by the library and they can come and get the document, and then they can read it their own at their disposal, and then they can keep on returning it well. If everything goes well in time, so the number of copies which a library is buying, that will be sufficient. Unnecessary overburdening the library by buying 10 copies, 20 copies, that too just for a momentary period. Whenever the demand is high, whenever the peak period is here, probably that is not a solution to buy a more number of copies, just to manage it with the help of reservation. Third most important thing is preventing frustration. Patrons are less likely to be frustrated by the unavailability of desired books, leading to more satisfying library experience. So instead of whenever the user, just suppose user is coming twice, thrice, and every time he or she is not able to get the document on the shelf, so it becomes frustrating. It's better that the information of availability and non-availability should be given either through the system or through the circulation counter. This information should be given, and the circulation counter should tell them the provision that okay, we have the provision for reservation also. You reserve the document. Whenever the document will come back, we will inform you. And when after information, then you come to the library and get the document issued. So this can lower down their frustration level at least. So this is a small format I've shown you for the reservation of the document, where you fill up the call number, you get the details from the public catalog, you fill up all the details, and you can put your signature and give it to the circulation desk. So it has two sides. One is recto side I'm trying to show you, and this is a verso side of it. So you can fill up this, give it to the circulation counter, your job is done. And when the patron will come back, whenever the document will be available in the circulation, they will inform you, and you can just simply come and get the document issued. So this is again showing you the format of reservation slip, where you can see the call number, author, accession number, title, issued currently to that they will fill up, library people will fill up, address, due date of return, all this they will fill up, and ultimately they will send intimation to the user for issuing the book. That also the date they will fill up. They will wait for you. They have, as per the policy, they will wait for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Whenever you are in a position to, a client is in a position to come to the library, then the document will be first issued to the person who has got it reserved first. Then the one more process after reservation is renewal. what this renewal is. Basically, this is also an important aspect because just suppose, and the renewal is only possible when there is no reservation. Just suppose I told you in case of emergency, or maybe I was having a lot of engagement, or I was not in the town. So because of anything, means I have not been able to go through the book, not been able to read it thoroughly or completely. So in that case, and my due date has already approached, so I can just get in touch with the library, formally or informally. I can just get in touch either through mail or through phone or by any mechanism, and I can make a simple request that if it is possible to give me for one more term. Means one more term means it can be, if the term is for 1 week, so I want it for one more week. So in that case, if it has not been reserved, the renewal is quite easy. But at least the information should reach to the circulation desk. So it can be extended for the loan period if any client needs. So this is something we call it as a renewal. And what is the purpose of renewal here? You can see the continuous use. Means some books are required by readers repeatedly, either because they need constant access to the material or because the books are lengthy and require more time to thoroughly study it. So that's why user seeks renewal. Then the basic, what is the purpose of renewal? As I told you, the continuous use is one. Then maximizing use. Renewing books aligns with the principle of maximizing the use of library material as advocated by the first and the third law of library sciences. So what is the procedure here for the renewal? The process is very simple. Patrons typically request books renewal either in person or through the library's online catalog or website or via phone. You can use any mechanism. User can use any mechanism to just inform them that they are seeking for renewal. So what is the renewal limit? The libraries may impose limit on the number of times a book can be renewed or the total duration for which a book can be kept on the loan. So duration can be decided as per the policy, twice, thrice, not more than that. Because now it is not that the book will be constantly given to one person and it becomes monopoly for the particular user. Because ultimately whenever the book will be available and any XYZ user can browse books on the shelves, and maybe any potential user can be there. So let it be for the any other potential user instead of permanently giving to one person. So consideration of demand, librarians must balance the renewal request of the individual patrons with the need of other library users. They may consult reservation records to just assess the demand for particular titles before granting renewal. That is not possible. Renewal is only possible whenever reservation is not there. So what are the considerations basically here? The genuine need. The renewal should be granted based on the genuine need, ensuring that the books are not continuously renewed at the expense of other patrons who may also require access to the material. That should not be done. Means if the other person requires it and somebody has got it reserved, so you have to stop the renewal process, give it to the person who is already in the queue. So reservation request, librarians must use reservation cards or request received from other patrons to assess the demand for specific titles before approving renewal request. And then the special cases are there in certain circumstances, such as when a book is not in high demand or when the reader requires it for a serious purpose. Longer loan periods or multiple renewals may be granted. However, the care must be taken to balance the needs of all library users. Then long-term loan considerations are there. Long-term loans may be considered for books with a limited demand or specialized subjects. And basically the purpose is the patrons requesting long-term loans should have a serious purpose for needing the particular book for an extended period. One should justify it, then only it can be given for a longer period. And patron must agree to return the book promptly if the request by another library user is there. If any request from any other user is here, the patron will agree to that, immediately I'll return it, ensuring that the material remains available for all the patrons' need. That is important here. Then coming to the renewal procedure, what are the procedure here? As I told you, a renewal in person, that is the first activity where the patron will bring the book to the library and a request for the renewal is made to the library staff. The staff will locate the book card of the concerned book and then new due date dates are embossed on the due date slip and the book card, and the book is returned to the patron. This is a process, simple process if you are following the book card system. And along with the reader's ticket is placed in the charging tray behind the due date guide cards. So this is one way of doing it. And second is by post also you can do it. Patron sends a request for a renewal via mail. Now mail is more prominent. So through mail also you can send the requisition. The library staff will locate the relevant book card from the charging tray and using the call number then he can locate it. New dates are recorded, due dates are recorded on the book card and a reply is sent to the patron directing them to update the due date slip of the book, and the book card of the renewed book is placed either under the new due date guide card or with a dummy card, whatever is in place. Third important thing is renewal by telephone also. That is also possible. If you are away from the station, you cannot come to the library. So in that case, you can simply make a call to the circulation desk. The patron can make a call to the library to request a renewal, and the message is noted down and the patron is informed that they will be notified about the renewal shortly. The library staff will follow the usual procedure, means taking out the book card, embossing the due date, keeping it behind the due date guide card, all the process will be same. And then the last option we have is renewal in person without the book. And if the patron just suppose visits the library but does not have bring the book for renewal, the procedure follows that of the renewal. Similarly, it will be similar to what the pattern is followed whenever you get the requisition for the post or by the telephone. So token signatures are taken and the due date book card, especially the due date stamp, is embossed on the book card and it is placed behind the due date guide card. So these are the processes which library has to follow when you are renewing the book. So the next activity of the circulation is statistics. So statistics, as I told you, so maintaining the circulation statistics is very crucial. Number one, for decision making. The circulation statistics provides valuable insights into the usage pattern of the library material, and by analyzing circulation data, library administrators can make informed decisions about collection development, resource allocation and service improvement. So this can be done. Then resource allocation, this statistics also helps in the resource allocation. Circulation statistics also helps libraries allocate resources effectively. By understanding which material are most popular and which are underutilized, the libraries can optimize their budget by investing the material that are in high demand and reducing spending on items with low circulation. Then third usage of statistics is assessment of services. Circulation statistics enable libraries to evaluate the effectiveness of their services and policies. For instance, if the number of renewals is high, it may suggest that patrons find the loan period adequate. Conversely, if there are frequent complaints about the overdue fines, it may indicate a need to adjust the fine policies or improve the communication about the renewal options. Then this statistics can also be useful for performance evaluation. The circulation statistics can be used to assess the performance of individual staff members or departments within the library. By tracking metrics such as items processed per hour, average checkout time, or accuracy in handling fines and fees, libraries can identify areas for staff training and development. Another use of statistics is demonstration of impact. So circulation statistics are essential for demonstrating the value and impact of the library to stakeholders, such as funding agencies, governing bodies, and the community at large. So the comprehensive set of statistics can showcase the library's role in promoting literacy, supporting education, and enriching the cultural life of the community. Another use of statistics can be benchmarking and trends. So by comparing the circulation statistics over time and with data from the peer institutions, libraries can identify trends, best practices, and areas for improvement. Benchmarking against similar libraries helps set realistic goals and target for circulation service. Thank you.